This is ABC15 Mornings.
Our countdown to Election Day continues. So how do we handle those uncomfortable conversations about politics at work? They're bound to come up. We're taking a look at some do's and don'ts.
And it's National Hispanic Heritage Month, and this morning we're celebrating by learning more about a special place in the Valley where artists gather to inspire the community.
Also, another local organization is helping kids go places, this time on the dance floor. I love this story. We're going to find ways to make you smile as we also tackle some of the tough topics this morning as we come up on 6 o'clock on this Sunday. I'm Nohelani Graff.
And I'm Mark Thompson, social distancing from home, and I'm going to be doing a little dance once the calendar turns towards fall and we finally start getting some cooler temperatures in here, Nohe.
I do not think you will be alone in doing that fall jig, that's for sure. Everybody is just watching the calendar, waiting for those temperatures to dip. And at least in the mornings, we're starting to get on track. So our temperatures right now, we've got some 70s out there. Goodyear has dropped another 3 degrees, so you're down to 73 degrees. That is lovely weather to get out for a morning bike ride. 78 in Glendale, still sitting in the 80s in Phoenix and Mesa, but the low 80s at that. So if you want to take the bike out and go for a ride around the block, then go ahead and do it. We've got some time this morning. It'll take us until 7, so about another hour before everybody works their way into the 80s. It'll be 10 o'clock before we're in the 90s, so a little bit later than yesterday. By 2 o'clock, we're into triple digits and we will continue to climb. It will be sunny, it will be hazy, and it will be hot today, but there is some relief. So I've got that hiking forecast for you and how best to time it out coming up in that most accurate forecast. Now we want to start you off with some breaking news this morning. We're getting more information into our newsroom about a possible shooting in Maryvale. This is unfolding near 50th Drive and Indian School Road. A police officer on the scene telling us that they responded to a loud party in that area, and that's when they found one person who had been shot. Police say that person is in extremely critical condition. We're also working to get more information about a possible suspect and what led up to that shooting during the house party, and we will continue to keep you updated right here on ABC15 Mornings and ABC15.com.
Also developing this morning, at least 2 people are hurt after a crash near 35th Avenue and Indian School. It happened last night. Phoenix police telling us that there were at least 4 cars involved in the crash. One of the people has some serious injuries, the other minor injuries. Police say that they are investigating impairment as a possible cause.
More developing stories for you this morning. Phoenix fire crews are investigating after a mobile home fire near 35th Avenue in Deer Valley. Crews tell us everybody was able to get out safely. No one was hurt, but they're still looking for what caused that fire. Also, Phoenix police continuing to investigate after an accident near 16th Street and Bethany Home Road. Our crew on scene telling us it looks like a motorcycle was involved, and our photographer on scene also saying that he saw an ambulance take at least one person away. So far, we do not know the condition that person is in or what caused this crash.
Also, an update this morning to a story that we first brought you as breaking news on ABC 15 Mornings yesterday. 2 people have now been arrested for allegedly robbing a store at gunpoint. It happened Saturday near 91st Avenue and Bell Road. Phoenix police say that they tracked down the car that the suspect drove away in. 20-year-old Melaina Romero is behind bars. Police have not identified the other man who was arrested. They say that he is currently getting some medical treatment for an unrelated injury.
Want to get to the latest now in the coronavirus. The United States reaching a grim milestone, 200,000 deaths nationwide. Let's put that in perspective. America has lost more people to COVID-19 than the entire population of Tempe. Think about that. 5,500 of those lost are Arizonans. We spoke to a local ER doctor, and he says even though we have reached some tragic numbers, the number of COVID patients in his hospital at least is down. So some light at the end of the tunnel here. And he says it's most likely due to social distancing and people wearing masks.
We still are cautious. We still check most people who are admitted to the hospital, certainly with febrile illness, but the number of patients with COVID or COVID-like complaints has gone way down.
And certainly, while it is encouraging to see a decrease in cases, Dr. Lavecchio there does want everyone to understand that we are not out of the woods just yet, especially with flu season looming.
Yeah, and speaking of flu season, Banner Health is now offering drive-through shots at its site at the Arizona State Fairgrounds. It will be open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then on Saturday from 8 a.m. until noon. The address is right there on your screen. Patients as young as 6 months old, you can get that shot. You're asked to bring a copy of your insurance, and you must make an appointment online ahead of time, and you can do that online through Banner Health.
Today, ASU and Maricopa County are teaming up for their final weekend of the Sero survey. The goal of this project is to get a more accurate look at how many people in our area have actually been exposed to coronavirus. So volunteers, doctors, nurses, once again will be knocking on doors in various neighborhoods. They're targeting 28 locations throughout the county, and they're looking to get as many people to participate in a blood collection as possible. The testing is to identify COVID antibodies, so it would be a free test for you. And of course, those are proteins that the body makes in response to a specific infection. If the program does not get enough samples, however, they might have to extend sero surveys for a few more days. Again, it is voluntary and it is free.
More students are headed back to school this week. Grand Canyon University started welcoming back students on Monday. It will anyway, and it won't look the same this year for incoming freshmen. Students, they will move in by appointment, and there will only be one volunteer per vehicle to help out families. GSU says that they are committed to social distancing to ensure the protection of the entire university. Students will begin in-person blended classes beginning the following week. That is Monday, September 21st.
Meanwhile, students in the Scottsdale Unified School District will also start phasing back to campus. Kindergarten, first and second grades. They will all head back first, and then next week, third, fourth, and fifth grade students, or the following week, those kids will return to the classroom. Middle and high school students, they're going to wait until October after their fall break. The district is still offering their enhanced distance learning option for students and families who prefer to keep the kids learning at home.
Well, building a confidence by facing your fears. And one local group is doing this by helping kids get on the dance floor. ABC 15's Kaylee O'Kelly shows us what this is all about.
The dream to be a ballerina.
It just looks so easy, but then you try it and it's actually really hard.
For young dancers like Ava, it's an early life lesson. At Arizona Youth Ballet, up and coming performers are pointed in the right direction.
It's a lot easier when you set goals for yourself. And you just persevere and you just take that big risk and leap for it.
Sometimes that's a literal leap of faith as they learn what they're capable of.
The eyes get big when they accomplish something. It's so heartwarming, and it's rewarding as a teacher.
Christina Hampton helps guide the kids through the tough tryout process.
We try and make it as realistic as a professional opportunity would be. You would go in to take your company audition, and then you go and rehearse every Saturday for your roles. And then when we get to the stage, you have your stage time in class, and then you also have your dress rehearsals, and then we perform.
Those performances help build confidence so these kids can follow their dreams.
My dream is to be on Broadway. And if that goes somewhere else, really just be like a professional ballerina, because I just love doing ballet.
And don't we all just want to do what we love? Kaylee O'Kelly, ABC 15, Arizona.
And for their efforts helping kids go places, Arizona Youth Ballet is getting a $500 gift card from Your Valley Toyota dealers, and they plan on using that money to help sponsor online classes and other educational and opportunities to help those kids out in ballet.
I love that one little girl set her sights high. She's headed for Broadway, and I know she can do it. That's awesome.
Yes, that's right.
All right, let's talk about that most accurate forecast now. I told you I'd give you that hiking forecast. So it's a great morning to get out and hike. 80 degrees for much of the morning, even though we're starting off in the 70s, so that means up on the peaks it will be cooler. Sunrise is just about 5-6 minutes away here. By midday, it is going to start getting hot. So you, of course, want to avoid that. Try to get off the trails by noon because that's when we're getting close to triple digits. If you wait for a sunset hike, sunset is at 6:27 and it's still going to be just as toasty. So again, earlier, always better. Also, you will notice, even though our camera has gone out here, that our air quality is going to be in the moderate range, but it will look bad because it's going to be hazy once again today and you're not really going to escape it up on the mountaintop. But take heart in knowing that that haze is sitting high. The smoke from the wildfires to our west is high in the sky, so it's not really affecting our air quality. It just looks ugly. Oh, there we go. That camera returned right there. Live view of Camelback in the background, and I'm sure it's already busy. I will give you the rest of that most accurate forecast and show you what it's going to look like in the high country today coming up in just moments.
All right, Noah, thank you. It is 6:10 now on your Sunday morning. Coming up, National Hispanic Heritage Month, shining a light this morning on some local artists who are getting some international attention. Plus, has TikTok been saved? The president has made one last effort to merge the app's creators with an American company. We'll have that story still ahead. Welcome back, and we are now celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month, and ABC 15's Allison Rodriguez shows us a place in the Valley where artists go to create and inspire.
It's a really cool place.
In the heart of downtown Phoenix, you'll find a home for Latino art and culture.
Our main function is to promote local artists.
A space where amateur and world-renowned artists can share their work with the community.
I got here the first day and I just walked around and saw all the art everywhere, and I kind of just fell in love with the place. I mean, my creative juices started flowing and I was just like, I want to paint, you know what I mean? I kind of got inspired and motivated again to get back to it. So.
Armando Orozco is one of the resident artists at the Arizona Latino Arts and Cultural Center. The center, which is located near the Hyatt Regency Hotel and the Phoenix Convention Center, features galleries, a performance stage, and store.
That is all history.
Executive Director Elizabeth Toledo says the goal of the center is to preserve and promote Latino art.
There's a lot of artists out there that don't realize how good they are. And when they come in here, well, I draw, let me show you. And when we see their work, we're like, whoa, you should be exhibiting.
Not only does the Cultural Center provide a studio space for artists to create, but it also emphasizes education and mentorship.
Get together a group of artists.
Roman Reyes, an artist and retired professor, says teaching the history of the art is just as important.
You'd be surprised, even a lot of Latinos don't know the history, and so it's a good thing to show them. It's an education for everyone, not just Latinos, for everyone.
The work created by these artists getting international attention. Reyes has been hired for projects on Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, while clothing designed by Kathy Garcia has been worn by Ringo Starr and Bruno Mars.
As you can see, they're vibrant, bold. I've never been afraid of color, so I'm hoping my customer is not.
Back in March, the Cultural Center was forced to shut down because of COVID-19. Then, in early June, while protesters were marching in downtown Phoenix, a separate group of people broke into the center and stole items like T-shirts, printed art, and original work.
They took some of our stuff, and so we had to have a wall put up. Now we have it fixed, and we had to put the store back together again.
For now, the center remains closed, but the staff and artists are counting down to reopening day.
It's going to be good. Yeah. Be back and better than ever, you mean?
I'm Allison Rodriguez, ABC 15, Arizona.
And the Arizona Latino Arts and Culture Center is hoping to reopen by the end of September or early October.
Talk about that most accurate forecast. Now we are feeling cooler temperatures across much of the state this morning than we did at this same time yesterday. In Prescott, the temperature is down 11 degrees now from 24 hours ago. The Grand Canyon, that temperature has dropped 21 degrees from this time yesterday. We're also close to 10 degrees cooler in Flagstaff, same with Show Low as well. So take a look. The Grand Canyon has made it down into the 30s this morning. We're in the low 40s in Flagstaff. So that's jacket weather up there. Finally feeling like fall, at least somewhere in Arizona. We're in the 40s in Window Rock as well. 60 degrees in Heber as well as Prescott. And we've got 70s and 80s to our west and to our south, 72 in Casa Grande. Here in the valley, we're 3 degrees cooler than we were this time yesterday, and we definitely see that reflected in our temperature map this morning. A lot more 70s across the board here. Santan Valley, you've dipped just in the last hour here, now down to 75 degrees for you. Maricopa has dropped another degree, down to 70 right now. It's 79 in Ahwatukee as well as Peoria, 73 in Surprise. Buckeye sitting at 70 degrees this morning as well. So we will linger in the 70s for a little while longer. Everybody will start to work their way into the 80s in that 7 o'clock hour, and then we'll stay in the 80s for a while this morning. It's going to take us until 10 today to get into the 90s. So that happens just a little bit later than it did yesterday. And by noon, that's when we hit 100 degrees. We will climb from there by another 5 degrees, though, and we'll top out at 105 today. We'll see that temperature in the Deer Valley neighborhoods, Peoria, Levine, Ahwatukee, Gilbert. It'll be 106 in Chandler as well as Maricopa, 104 in Apache Junction and Fountain Hills, Anthem and Cave Creek staying in the low 100s for today. Across our state to the north, if you want to head up to Sedona for a day trip, still going to be toasty, still feeling a little like summer, in the low 90s today. So make sure you're still packing lots of water if you're going for a hike up there. Also going to be in the 90s in Prescott, just a few degrees below that in Payson, in the upper 80s today. Even cooler weather in Show Low, Heber and Window Rock staying in the low 80s, and Flagstaff will stay in the upper 70s for today. Still feeling hot off to our west. Mojave County is going to be hot once again. 107 is your forecast high in Bullhead City, so just make sure you're prepared for that. And hang in there. I know this has been a long, tough summer, very much like what we feel here in the valley. We're also looking to stay dry across the state today, but in the overnight hours, we could see a few sprinkles in the low-lying deserts in Gila Bend and Ajo, and also in the higher elevations near the Grand Canyon and west of Flagstaff. But we're not going to get any moisture here in the valley. What that will do is help drop our temperatures over the next couple of days, and so that's definitely something that we can all get on board with. Tomorrow, we're down to 103. Tuesday, the official start of fall. It's the fall equinox, so 102 will be our forecast high. Remember, our average should be 99, so we're getting at least a little closer to that. We are going to spike a bit on Thursday and Friday, but then next weekend, trending in the right direction. We're back down to 101 degrees, so slowly but surely, we're getting closer to that 90-degree mark. And the best news of the 7-day forecast is we've got 70s all week long for our morning lows, and I think by the end of the week, we'll see the mid and even low 70s in some outlying valley cities.
That is great news. No, hey, thank you. Well, coming up, President Trump, he is set to announce his nomination for the Supreme Court replacement as early as next week, but not all Republicans are on board. Also, as politics heat up, do you find yourself having those hard discussions coming up at work? Some tips on how to deal with the uneasiness in the workplace. That's next.
We are in the throes of election season. We are counting down. And of course, your vote is more important than ever this year. But the conversation around who you're voting for can get you in some trouble at work. So to help us navigate those conversations and some good do's and don'ts, we have the president of the Arizona Employers Council, Karen Stafford, joining us this morning. Hey, Karen, good to see you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So these can turn into some awkward questions to navigate, whether you want to talk about politics at work or not. So kind of where do we even begin? Is it okay to talk about politics at work? Maybe that's the first question.
You know, back when I was just getting the professional scene, I learned right out of the box, there's 2 things you don't talk about at work, right? Religion and politics. And now it just seems to have infiltrated our everyday conversation so much so, and leading up to election season, it's as if every conversation has an element.
Let's talk about the do's, because it does sort of seem inevitable. So let's start with that guidance.
So the first thought is to consider the old adage, think before you speak. Is what I'm about to say necessary? Is what I'm about to say true? Does it build up the conversation and increase our productivity in the workplace, maybe our worker-coworker relationship? If so, then maybe then consider, is it work related, right? So do keep it to the workplace. Considering that everyone comes from divergent opinions, it's likely there'll be misunderstanding or miscommunication if we get focused on sharing our view and then taking that next step of putting that on another person. So I may say, you know, I saw a rally last night and my candidate this, that, or what have you. It's okay. And as long as I don't take that next step and say, you know, you should vote this way too.
Yeah,
So
definitely need to read the room. That's for sure. That's a good rule of thumb. Don'ts. Let's talk about don'ts, because I feel like those are probably the most important that will get you in trouble, even marched up to HR.
yes. So don't assume the worst of the person, right? We don't know everyone's history that brought them or story that brings them to whatever that comment was. So don't assume the worst. Rather, try to, if someone says something or is headed in a conversation, part of a conversation you don't appreciate, simply say so. You know what? Let's get back to the task at hand. I've had some groups who even use a traffic signal as a signaling device to say, you know what, you're headed, you know, yellow light, Karen, that last comment is kind of leading us in a place I don't think we want to go. And so, or red light, you know, I'm going to leave that comment right there because I'm not sure what's going to come next. And so even agreeing to some of those ground rules up front as a team can be helpful in the moment.
How much responsibility lies with the employer in setting ground rules so everybody knows if it's acceptable or not and where your red light is?
I think setting expectations up front is a conversation every team should have. And so whether that's initiated by the employees suggesting it or me as a leader, I absolutely think it's appropriate. And it's good. It's a good prevent defense in this season to say, all right, team, at our next team meeting, we're going to talk about some team norms and setting some parameters so that we can all talk about it before we're in the emotional moment of it, and thereby hold each other accountable to it a little bit more easily. So,
and that way you won't be surprised if you do get, you know, a complaint to HR. I also think these are great rules that you can apply to your family as well as we head into the holiday season, even though it'll all be said and done at that time. I think it's all really good advice. Karen Safford from the Employers Council, thank you so much for the guidance on this one. This one, unfortunately, is relatable to everybody.
Yes, thank you.